Fireworks are done. Hopefully no fingers were lost. And I think a Nintendo Direct is in the extreme near future. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Today we're talking all about Nintendo's investor call because I think you're going to see a lot of misinformation spread starting, I guess, already yesterday. And I want to go through what Nintendo said in regards to game key cards and how they're going to handle them in the future, in regards to the Switch 2 and how long it's going to be rare / tricky to get, in regards to if people can't afford the Switch 2, what they should do, and more. So we're going to dive into everything Nintendo said officially and give you my analysis. Plus, let's just start getting excited for that Direct. I do think it's indeed coming this week. Hollow Knight Silksong's page was updated a bunch of times on Steam. Could that be a stealth drop? I don't know, but I think that game is coming really soon. Let me know in the comments down below what you're most excited to see at a new July Nintendo Direct. It's got to be this week or the very last week of the month because DK is out in 2 weeks, which feels crazy. Bring back the Kremlins. I need K. Rool in charge of Voidco, but I also need less game key cards and I need more physical games. Now, Nintendo was asked at their investors call just a few days ago. Everything's officially translated now. We have the actual responses. I've seen opinions on the internet saying that game key cards are unappealing. I'm concerned that if third-party titles using game key cards don't sell well, it will discourage third parties from supporting the Switch 2. Now, we all know that game key cards are kind of butt. I guess I'm trying to evolve on this front. I'm trying to, I guess, just accommodate what's happening, which is like, I would prefer physical games, but it seems like game key cards are going to be what we get. And I definitely don't want third parties to not support the Switch, so this question to me feels very relevant. Furukawa says, we introduced the game key card because game file sizes are larger on the Switch 2 compared to the Switch 1. We have various ways to distribute games on the Switch 2, and we are working with our third-party partners to ensure their support for our platform. So this is bizarre because, yes, games are larger on the Switch 2, but there's games that aren't larger that are still going to game key cards. And so Furukawa is not addressing the elephant in the room, which is like, is Nintendo making it tricky and difficult and expensive, or is it just straight up expensive regardless for third parties to get these medium-sized cartridges, and they either have a tiny cart with the game on it, or they have a big cart and they don't want to pay for that. Now, Nintendo clearly has these carts because they're putting Donkey Kong, they're putting Mario Kart, they're putting all their games on actual physical cartridges. But it does seem like, based on Furukawa's answer and based on what we've seen from upcoming games, game key cards is the way to go. I mean, not the way to go, but it's the way you're going to have to go if you want to support these third-party games. Now, at that point, it's like, do you download it digitally and not even have the physical presence? If you're a collector, to me, like, look, for me as a collector, it's more about having the game on the shelf. So I still would like the box. It's going to take up memory space regardless if it's digital or if it's game key card. So I guess I'd still like the box, and I'd still like the fake cart rather than just the digital. And technically, you can sell those game key cards, so there's still some value to that over a digital copy. It's not what we'd prefer to have. It's not what we'd love to have. But yeah, it seems like it's what we're going to have. I don't know that game key cards are going to disappear or going to even lessen. I feel like they're going to just increase in popularity, which sucks. And I'm not aligning with that. But if given the choice between digital and game key cards, I think I still pick game key card. What about you? This one is going to get misconstrued a lot, so I want to go through it next. The Switch 2 is more expensive than past hardware. Won't this make it difficult for young children to engage with it? All right, so yes, the Switch 2 is more expensive, but so is literally everything else. Won't this make it more difficult for young children to engage with it? Furukawa says, we believe the pricing of Nintendo Switch 2 is appropriate for the gaming experience it offers, and what is most important is to provide entertaining experiences that demonstrate the value to consumers. To achieve this goal, we have incorporated various features into Nintendo Switch 2. And dude, I am so on board with Furukawa's answer there. Do I wish the Switch 2 was cheaper? Sure. I wish everything was cheaper. Gas, Star Wars Unlimited booster packs, my microphone, all of it. But the fact is it's not. And I'm glad that Nintendo did what they felt they needed to do to achieve the entertaining experience that they wanted to achieve, right? Like, the Switch 2 isn't as powerful as it is if it costs less. The Switch 2 can't run the games it can run if it costs less. I think after a month of Switch 2 that the price point is very valuable for what you're getting. It equalizes out, like what you're paying feels like what you're getting. Like Furukawa says, I agree with him. And I'm really glad Nintendo chose to go with this power level, chose to go with this hardware capacity and capability, because it is allowing us to get the games basically we wanted to get. It's allowing us to have the Switch 2 be what the Switch 1 wasn't. And I think that's shown up with the first-party games and with the third-party games, and I think it's only going to get better from here. But here's where it's going to get misconstrued and turned different ways. Furukawa continues saying, "It is true that Nintendo Switch 2 has a higher price point than our past gaming systems. We are creating various opportunities outside of our gaming systems for young children to engage with Nintendo characters and game worlds, with one of the ultimate goals being that they will eventually play on our gaming system. We are closely monitoring to what degree the price of the system might become a barrier." And this is going to get thrown in a bunch of different directions. People are already saying that Furukawa told kids, if you can't afford a Switch 2, go do something else Nintendo. And that's not what he's saying here. He's not saying, hey, if you can't afford the Switch 2, maybe you can afford the Mario movie Blu-ray. Maybe you can get your parents to take you to Super Mario World. That's not what he's saying. What he's saying is that we have created different ways for children to engage with Nintendo characters and game worlds outside of the gaming system. So just because you can't buy a Switch 2, it doesn't mean that Nintendo is dead to these kids. And look, this is speaking to investors. So Furukawa is talking about the money-making potential and the audience-building potential of Nintendo. And all he's saying is that Nintendo is looking and is expanding beyond just their gaming system. So if that gaming system is too expensive, or even is something you don't want to engage with, there's other ways to engage and interact and enjoy and create fun experiences for people outside of the Switch 2 with Nintendo. You can watch the movies, you can go to the parks, you can buy the toys. I'm sure they have like books. You can get clothes, right? I see Nintendo shirts and hoodies and pajamas all the time. There's other ways to interact besides the system. They're not saying like, if you can't afford the system, tough luck, kids, go get a freaking sock. That's not what he's saying. It's already being misconstrued. I've seen articles with headlines that are like, can't afford it, kids, you suck. That's not what Furukawa is saying. He's just saying that they've tried to really expand so that Nintendo can appeal to people that either can't afford or don't want or aren't in the game playing space. And yes, they have. They've got movies, they've got games, they've got theme parks, they've got more movies coming. They supposedly say there's more movies than just Mario World and Zelda in the works. So Nintendo, they're going to just become the Disney of the current era, which I think is freaking sweet. And if you told me as a kid that Nintendo was going to get to this point, I would have been jumping and popping popcorn. So I'm definitely happy about that. And I don't think Furukawa's answer was anything rude or audacious or controversial at all. Here's another good one. A shareholder asked, "I'm concerned that the better specs of the Switch 2 will lead to higher development costs, resulting in more expensive games." Now, this is something that obviously is of concern to just about everybody after Mario Kart World was $80, and we know they spent nearly a decade working on that game. We also know that across the industry, games take 5, 6, 7, 8 years, games cost hundreds of millions of dollars, so how is Nintendo going to balance that? Furukawa says, "Recent game software development has become larger in scale and longer in duration, resulting in higher development costs. The game business has always been a high-risk business, and we recognize that rising development costs are increasing that risk. Our development teams are devising various ways to maintain our traditional approach to creating games amidst the increasing scale and length of development. We believe it is important to make the necessary investments for more efficient development." This is really great. This is Furukawa saying, hey, we want to put the money towards getting these games ready sooner, more efficient development. We don't want bloat. We don't want things going through multiple refreshes. We don't want things going through multiple different teams, multiple directors. We'd rather invest the time, the money, the effort, the care right off the bat to get the game right and get it done. And I think that's very smart and something that Nintendo is one of the best at in the gaming space. Like, they have great efficiency. Their IP come out very, very frequently and usually without any issues. Like, Metroid Prime 4 is the very rare development fiasco where Nintendo had to apologize, switch studios, and redo that. And thankfully, it seems like the redo is actually working out really well because that game looks like it could be Game of the Year type material. But in general, Nintendo is not having development issues. Nintendo does not have bloated costs. Nintendo does not have these games that lose tons of money and force tons of layoffs. They're doing very well by that standard, and so it seems evident that Furukawa is telling the truth here that, yeah, Nintendo is investing in more efficient development. He goes on to say, "We also believe it is possible to develop game software with shorter development periods that still offer consumers a sense of novelty. We see this as one potential solution to the concern about rising development costs and software prices, and we will explore it from various angles within the company." Now, this to me is very exciting because this is Furukawa saying Nintendo is going to mess with different size games at different price points. Boom. Something that I've always wanted them to do and something that I've seen them kind of take an interesting look at as the Switch 2 generation begins. I know nobody wanted to pay $10 for Welcome Tour, but if there was other $10 Nintendo experiences or $20 Nintendo experiences, $30, $40, up the price line, that would be freaking sweet. We know Drag Drive is coming in at $30 later this summer, and I think that's a big win. That's an experience that's maybe more niche, but still could be kind of fun, offers the novelty of getting to use the mouse controls in a very involved way, but it comes at a $30 price point, so it's not a $70 game. It's not turning off people that don't want to pay full price, and it's giving people that already spent oodles of money on their Switch and controllers and games an opportunity to engage with Nintendo at a different price point, and I love that. That's the variable price structure that Doug Bowser talked about actually becoming a reality, and Nintendo, like, holy cow, were they just telling the truth the whole time? I'm feeling good about this. Shorter dev cycles is great, not only for price of games, but also for ideation, right? You can get more creative ideas. You're like, hey, we're going to spend 2 years on this. It's going to be $30. Boom. You can package up a smaller idea that still could be really fun. It doesn't have to be this like, oh God, it's got to sell 20 million copies. It's got to be worth $70. It's got to, you have so much more flexibility, and it opens up the door for more creativity. And I think we're honestly seeing that from Nintendo. Look how their franchises evolved with the Switch. Look how Mario Wonder took Mario in a crazy direction. Look at an example like Kirby's Dream Buffet doing something really weird with Kirby and kind of making it like almost like a Fall Guys style type game. Nintendo trying different things is great because eventually they always hit gold, right? They might miss a little bit here or there. They might have one that's kind of got some things but kind of doesn't. But then eventually they usually reach like a really awesome realization of the idea. And so I think smaller games, shorter dev cycles, lower prices, more fun for the team, keep them fresh, keep them active, not bogged down. This is like a really great thing. And I think Furukawa is giving a really great answer. And you might say, oh, it's just him feeding you with nonsense. But we're seeing this. Drag Drive is an example that shows they are using the variable price and the shorter development time. Surely, right? We have Nintendo expanding into movies and theme parks. That's really good. Game key cards, not really good. Other than that, though, I think that this shareholder call was quite the success. And I think you're going to see a lot of people try to frame it the opposite. And I'm just here to say I think Nintendo is doing pretty good right now. DK is like a week and a half out. I'm insanely excited for that. We should have a Direct very soon, which gives us more to be excited for this Switch 2, which started off, it's a little slow right now, but I think everything is going to pick up majorly once we get that DK Bonanza, once we get that Direct, and now that we know Furukawa and Nintendo seem to be in a good spot. No layoffs, shorter development cycles, variable price. I think this is good. Switch 2 is a freaking great system, and we're in a freaking great spot, so I think it's safe to smile about Nintendo. Let me know your take in the comments down below, everybody. Do you agree it's okay to smile about Nintendo? I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce, out.